Hello and welcome back to another one of my tutorials. Let's dive right into this trailer that I've worked on in the past. This is called The Lady of the Lake. This is actually going to be released tomorrow on Amazon and other streaming platforms. So I'll just let this play out and then I will dive in and kind of give you my approach to sound design and everything involved.
Dad, have you ever heard the story of the Lady of the Lake? My name is Amanda Paulson. Sightings of a woman in white haunting the woods near a supposedly bottomless lake called to me.
Some people say that the ghost of the Lady of the Lake kind of haunts around Lake Crescent.
If you drive around the lake at night when it's a full moon and chant her name, she'll suck you into the lake.
Behind these accounts, I learned of a terrible crime.
More than 50 years.
Okay, let's stop right here and I will go to the beginning of this. And I'm going to mute the dialogue for now because I don't really want to kind of explain what I did there. Maybe in a later tutorial. I just want to focus on sound design. So the first thing you hear is some kind of staticky sound that builds up. And that kind of goes along with the font of the title. Okay, so what that is static. I just chose static, kind of like a static sound. But I'm going to show you the volume automation for both. They both rise up. It kind of builds up. And I kind of do that frequently with feature films and trailers. I like the build-ups. And then the spirit box. A spirit box is just a device that ghost hunters use. They have different frequencies. And they basically ask questions to the supposed spirit world, and then they get answers sometimes. It's very interesting. So both of them together. Okay, so that's pretty effective. Okay, so we come back. There's a bit of silence here because there's dialogue, and then the music comes in. So we have some hits, some pretty low hits, and then some strings. So I'm going to solo these out. The first one is just kind of a low boom, very clean, to kind of punch in that first scene. And then it's not as low as the boom, the clean boom sound here, but when you're stacking hits, you want to have different frequencies. Maybe I will add a couple more. One will have like a mid-range hit and one will have a high hit, but this really didn't need it. I went really minimalistic with this one. And then when that hits, we have the strings as well. I'll go down here. Go to my music template. Okay, here's the low strings. And it's kind of a motif that repeats. And I used what's called Sound Paint, I believe. Yeah, I use Sound Paint for this. It's a very good plugin. Sound Paint is something I recommend because it comes with a bunch of free sounds. And if you notice in the tail end there, there's a little bit of sound frequencies kind of reverberating. And that's from Sound Paint. It's not just strings, it's just another layer of sound that makes it sound interesting. Okay. So now we go to this pulsing sound. There's a build-up here. The cool thing about build-ups is you can take hits. So I'm going to take one of my hits, just duplicate it, and then I'm going to reverse it. And I did that with this one here, the little build-up, the little build-up to the next part. I'm going to do it to this one here. Okay, so that's a good trick. You can take hits, reverse them, and it helps you transition into the next parts. Because a lot of the time we're against the clock and we can't spend our whole time searching for sounds, so you can just make them on the fly there. So this builds up to a low pulse. Those are just low pulses with some sound. And then the video editor cut to those changes. And then, like I said, I love build-ups, so here comes another build-up to the next scene. So that's a nice little build-up to a very dissonant-sounding flute section. I used, what did I use for that? I used Contact, and I used Albion Tundra Spitfire, and I used the flutes. And if you select FX, it gives you that option to create some dissonant-sounding flutes or any other instruments. And dissonance is very, very effective in horror films or anything dark. I'll just solo those out. And again, not a ton of stuff stacked on top of each other. Looks like that was done in Sound Paint as well. Just another layer of sound. Okay, and then it looks like I've got another pre-whoosh. And that was probably another hit that I reversed. So as you notice, I use breaths throughout this. I also use it in the film quite a bit. One's kind of a higher one, also than the lower one. I never use the same thing twice. And I used the breaths because it's kind of symbolic, because the girl that's supposedly seen as a ghost in this film, she drowned. And to me, it's like a ghostly vibe. The breathing. Okay, and it sounds like there's a pulse. Yeah, this is just a background sound. See, I got it in my backgrounds over here. Just a nice layer. But it doesn't overpower, so it's important to have things mixed and nothing overpowering anything. And here's the pulse, just to kind of drive that feeling. Almost like a heartbeat. And it actually hits when she takes a footstep too, so that was planned. Okay, so throughout this scene, I've got some low frequency rumble. And low frequencies invoke a lot of like fear feelings too.
Lake Crescent gave up.
Some more low strings. And if you notice, it kind of bends a little there. I like to do that a lot with the pitch bend. I bend it down and bend it up. I think I did that in the beginning too. Okay, yeah, so here's a bend right here. Check this out. And that's just recording it using the pitch bend on your keyboard, your MIDI keyboard. I'll go over one little piece here, something that I did with the text. There's that spirit box again, but as you can see, I pitch bend it down. Okay, this was for the, I used Sound Paint for this as well, for the text on screen. Okay, I mean, you have to be creative. I mean, it would have been cheesy for me to have like a typewriter sound or something like that. You have to really think outside of the box and think of the abstract realm. What else? Okay, so what I did was I made another, I think it's the same thing. I just pitch shifted this down and then added some distortion. Yeah. Layers. Think of a cake. You're adding layers. The more layers, the more delicious. And these are just little pitch shifted frequencies for those staticky moments. And then we've got the spirit box again. The text effects. Then I use a pulse again here. And that's the same one I used before, but I pitch shifted it down. So let's do that whole scene. Okay, this was one of my favorite things to do. I took some 1920s old vintage jazz music, just added some reverb to it, because this film was, this story happened during the 1920s, 1930s, so I just grabbed this music. With some reverb. Okay, and then I just faded it out. It was very subtle. It didn't overpower anything. Okay, I will unsolo that and you can hear it all together. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial. I hope you take away something from this. I will eventually get into the mixing aspect, but I just want to start my tutorial series of just layering, just showing you how I layer and what you can do to make it more interesting and original.